So we've been talking all month about what it means to tap into the presence of God and to have our souls satisfied with his presence. We've been moving away from satisfying our flesh so much and been talking to God about what our soul needs. We've been experiencing and talking about soul care and how much we need God to bless our souls, and that our souls is the substratum, the basis, the foundation of everything that we are and everything that we have, and that if you don't get your soul right, it will affect everything else in your life. Can you say amen? So we've been putting a great emphasis on what we need from God, on receiving from God, on our craving and our desire for God's presence. But for today, as we conclude this series, and today is the conclusion of the Thirsty series, I wanted to just shift your focus for just a moment and not talk about how we desire things from God, but to shift our attention to what God desires from us. That we are proficient at talking about God, I need from you. I need things from you. I want things from you. I think we've done a great job at exploring that, not only on Sunday mornings, but also on Wednesdays, tapping in and getting what we need from God. But I want to shift it just a little bit this morning and have you think for just a moment, what does God crave from you? Now, before I say this, I want to say this to you, that when I speak about God having cravings or thirst or desire, I'm going to be speaking in anthropomorphic terms, meaning that I'm going to be explaining something that you can relate to, so you to understand something that you can't relate to. Because when we talk about God being thirsty, please understand that thirst is a pure physiological experience. That as human beings, our desire for thirst is a sign that our bodies need to be hydrated. We need water to survive. We need water to live. And so we can relate to thirst, because if your body is not hydrated, it sends a signal to your brain, hey, I need water if we're going to continue to live. But God is a spirit. Thus, he does not have a body. So he cannot experience thirst like we experience thirst. He cannot experience thirst and craving like we would, because thirst is a purely human thing. Our body's telling us we need water. But God is a spirit. He has no body, and so he cannot experience the level of thirst or craving or need that we do. In fact, one of the Hebrew words for God is El Shaddai, meaning that he is the all-sufficient one. That God is self-sufficient, self-sustaining. He doesn't need anything outside of himself to complete himself. He's God all by himself. You can't add anything to him. You can't take anything away from him. God wants for nothing. He lacks nothing. He is complete. So when we talk about lack or need or craving or desire, that's because there's something outside of us as human beings that we need to complete us. But God doesn't have that problem. God said, I'm God all by myself. Everything I need, I already got it. In fact, in Psalms 50 verse 12, he says, I am so much God, I am so complete and total that if I was hungry, I wouldn't tell you. I can't get hungry anyway. I can't get thirsty anyway. I can't get deficient in any way possible. But just humor me. If I were to get hungry, I still wouldn't tell you. Because the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. And he says, I own everything that's in it. So if I was hungry, I wouldn't ask you. I own the cattle on 1,000 hills. I just pick one. That I'm so much God that if I were to have a thirst some sort of way, I can clap my hands and command the clouds to come down. And let me go there and tell you this too. I don't even need your praise. Somebody came today and said, well, let me go on to church and drag on over to Victory and do God a favor by showing up. God said, I didn't need your praise. He says that the heavens declare the glory of God. That when God moves, that the very trees and the grass begin to clap their hands and begin to magnify the Lord. In fact, he told them in one place that if you were to be quiet and shut down, that these rocks that are sitting over here would cry out and praise me. God says, I'm good. that that when I want something from you, please don't think that anything that you keep from me will diminish me in any way. I'm God all by myself. I'm total and I'm complete. And I don't need you to give me anything to make me more God. I can't be more God than I am. Ooh, which brings me to this question. What if God was thirsty? If I don't need anything, that's what God says. If he doesn't need anything, what would quench God's thirst? If it weren't possible for him to have a craving at all or need a desire, what would that thing be that would bless him and restore him and refresh him? Well, I'm glad you asked that question.